Boxing awards for 2026, and it's just me. Let's jump into it. The story of the month, which I think is something that I forgot about in the previous years when I've done this, or really the previous year, is Top Rank going to DAZN. It's a huge deal. And why is that? Since the Saudis have come in, we've changed the way we look at big fights and sides of the street. I think there is no fight currently that we don't think is possible, which is a big change from 4 years ago in the sport and a very good thing. That being said, developmental boxing and the concept of prospects has kind of taken a hit because the focus has been so much on main event boxing. We're not seeing prospects climb the ranks as much, in my opinion. And I think when you look at the Prospect of the Year awards over the last 2 years, it's been more of an art form than a science because we started to get away from prospects, and there's been a love affair with main event boxers, with the exception of really Abdullah Mason and probably one or two other fighters who have kind of stood out and made a name for themselves. So Top Rank having a deal with DAZN, no matter what the money is, no matter how many dates they have, that means young fighters are going to get an ability to display their talents and grow and make a leap from prospect to contender, from contender to potential title holder, or a guy who can't quite get over the hump. And that leads to interesting figures in the sport. So Top Rank getting a DAZN deal and no longer kind of trying to figure out how to keep their fighters active, that is a big deal. The fighter of the month. Now, this could have gone two ways, and I think there's definitely a U.S. bias. So if you're in the UK, I apologize. So I feel like this fighter of the month in March would go one of two ways. If you're more a British boxing fan and you watch more British fights, you're definitely going to say Moses Itauma because he had this phenomenal performance that blew me out of the water, and I just think it was an amazing performance. That being said, to me, it was Sebastian Fundora. Tonight, Sebastian Fundora defeated Keith Thurman. And I know some people will say, okay, Keith Thurman's not really a 154-pounder, even though in his prime he talked about the fact that he wanted to move up in weight, like pretty early on in his welterweight career. He talked about wanting to move up in weight. He was one of the best guys, if not the best welterweight guy, for at least a year or two. And inactivity plagued his career. For Fundora to just annihilate one of the best fighters of the past decade in an uncompetitive fight, yes, you could hate the stoppage, but what was clear is in the first Tim Tszyu fight, it felt as though Fundora's adjustment was that a cut happened. Then he fought Cordell Booker and looked like a better fighter. Then in the Tim Tszyu fight, he looked like a lot better fighter. And now against Thurman, he looks even more improved. So I think a lot of people saw it as Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis and then the rest of the division, even if guys had titles. Fundora has now made the leap where I think he's level with those guys, and there's enough of a suspicion or a wonder where people look at that as a closer to 50-50 fight. So because he's now considered one of the best fighters in the division, had a statement win, for me, Sebastian Fundora is the fighter who did it, who is the fighter of the month. Moses Itauma, if you pick that, wouldn't be mad because it was a sensational fight. But for me personally, fight of the month, Najee Lopez versus Manuel Gallegos. Pretty easy fight to pick for fight of the month. Could very well be fight of the year. You saw Lopez get knocked down. Dramatic back and forth fight. It started out so easy for Najee Lopez. He was tagging Manuel Gallegos with every shot that he could land. That was then followed by him being dropped. And then he rallied back to stop Gallegos. It was a classic, amazing fight that actually got better as the rounds went. What made it so great was, first off, Gallegos' willingness to exchange, his willingness to not give up, self-belief, determination. And also Najee Lopez, when he was hitting Gallegos so cleanly, selling out a little bit to make some mistakes, but to have that toughness to not back down and have an amazing performance. To me, this is probably going to be one of the 4 best fights of the year. If it is, we had an amazing year of fights. I really think this is going to be one of the fights of the year we talk about at the end of the year. Amazing fight. If you haven't seen it, please go back and watch it. It's really worth watching. Knockout of the month, Moses Itauma stops Jermaine Franklin. Jermaine Franklin, for me, I know everyone and their mom was calling this. For me, this shocked me because Franklin has made a whole career out of just being a durable, tough guy. And it looked like even when he got dropped, he was going to ride out the storm. And then he gets hit with an uppercut, falls face first. It's an iconic image. It's probably the most iconic knockout of the year. And it's against a guy that Dillian White and Anthony Joshua couldn't stop. And those guys are both known for their power. What makes Itauma so interesting in many ways is the what ifs. He's able to place his shots. He's a very intelligent fighter. And in this fight, he didn't have the issues a normal 21-year-old would have where he's trying to sell out. He's looking for shots. He was probing. He was thinking. He was looking for shots. He was patient. That's not a trait you usually see with a young fighter. And then you add to it that he's really got good power. The question is, he didn't have a ton of amateur fights. And when he gets to those type of fights, is there going to be a little bit of a growing phase, a learning process? I think what's exciting is for British fight fans, he really feels like a young Mike Tyson, like a all-time great heavyweight who's capturing it. In America, I think that you could talk to 8 out of 10 boxing fans and they're still unaware of him. So huge divide in awareness around Moses Itauma. I think he's a superstar level boxer. This performance to me sold me on his ability to for sure get in the title picture conversation. Now it's starting to be, how does he handle the just size of bigger guys, and how does he handle a true mover who might give him issues? Or is his speed, where he's being compared to a middleweight, just so much at this period of time early in his life that that's not going to be an issue because he's going to be so much faster than everyone else? Contender of the month, for me, this was between Lester Martinez and Yoenli Hernandez. I'm going to go with Hernandez here. The stoppage wasn't great against Terrell Goucher, but I felt like on this card, we're going to get into it in the podcast. I think we did get into it about foregone conclusions. Goucher was not really being competitive in this fight, but he was defending himself. He was looking to go to the later rounds. Hernandez is a scary puncher who really looks the part of a title contender. He's a weird one in the sense where he's either going to be one of the best middleweights of this era, or he's going to be a guy who has a really, really spectacular gear that overwhelms typical top contenders. And then when he gets to that next tier, he might not have the versatility. He might just have one thing he does exceptionally well, which makes you a world champion, typically one great trait. But I'm curious about if someone can eliminate or slow down that trait, what's his plan B? And that's what I want to kind of see. But it looks like he's quite obviously one of the best middleweights, pretty dominating performance. So I have him as the contender of the year. Obviously, Lester Martinez, another really solid fighter, won the interim WBC title. We don't acknowledge the interim titles as titles. So he's right in that mix too, coming off an exciting fight with Christian and Billy. But in terms of a guy that I want to see in a world title fight, maybe it's because I already see Martinez as a title challenger. It really felt like the most interesting contender to me to see where his skills are at. Our old friend, Omari Jones. This has been a strange 2026 for Prospect of the Year. January, Omari. February, Omari. March, Omari. What are we doing? It's basically one name over and over with two fighters. Omari Jones, he got criticized in the telecast. I absolutely loved his performance. He fought a veteran fighter, really stayed composed, used his jab. I think that even though there's criticism he didn't look to finish the show, it was the type of performance for a guy who has just a limited amount of pro fights and is an Olympian. It's the type of fight that could get out of hand. You're fighting a more pro-style guy, a guy who's fought contenders, a guy who's fought kind of elite-level talents, and he made the fight look easy. And I think that people sometimes get ahead of themselves with Olympians and want them to be more polished because they're skipping the line and jumping ahead. He's right there in between a prospect and a contender. He's a little above a prospect right now. And the fact that he fought in January, comes back in mid-March, and probably could come back again, he is just having a sensational year, and he's showing an ability where he's growing fight after fight. Our trainer of the month is Arnold Barboza Sr., and this could honestly go to Freddie Fundora as well, the trainer Sebastian Fundora, but I think I'm more impressed with Arnold Barboza Sr. because Sr. came into the fight with Kenneth Sims Jr. as an underdog. Barboza was an underdog, And they just really had a game plan that might not have been the most fan-friendly, but it was a solid workmanlike performance that utilized Barboza's strengths. And I think that you add, not unlike Fundora, he's raised his son up in the fight game and built him to the point he is. They fought on club shows. And then he gets to a main event fight where he's carrying the card and he still was doubted, and the team pulls off a huge win. I think Arnold Barboza Sr. really impressed me this month with his ability to do that. And then you add to it the fact that Barboza is not a guy who might wow you with one specific trait. He's a workhorse. He's a guy who gets it done by putting a lot of time in the gym. That's built by the father as well. So Arnold Barboza Sr., a little under the radar guy. I'm going with Arnold Barboza Sr. for my trainer of the month. Upset of the month, Delvin, McKinley, majority decision over unbeaten Christian Chessa. It's a Pro Box TV fight. McKinley had 5 losses, back and forth action fight. McKinley wins the fight. Pretty big upset because I don't think a lot of people saw this one coming. Then for round of the month, I'm going George Liddard, Tyler Denny, round 11. Back and forth action fight. George Liddard is a promising British fighter who knows what his ceiling is, but he has a tendency to like to bang, and he doesn't have the most power, in my opinion, when he gets into these situations. His fight with Denny was a really, really exciting one. It was a good British fight, but it also, I think, showed some of his limitations at the current moment. This fight was a really, really exciting round, and maybe I'm biased because I watched like a fight in the middle of the day, and I'm like, this fight means more. But this is the most memorable round for the month. And then the most obscure fight of the month, Olivia won a split decision over Tyree Saar. And this is the fight where Mario Barrios attended the fight in Nashville. Really good fight, like TV level fight. And it was on a, what's that called? Country Box telecast. Really, really good fight. If you want just a fun fight to go back, sick day, bored day, go check this fight out. It's going to fly under the radar, but it was a really, really good one. That is the best of March, in my opinion, March 2026. Leave a comment. Let me know who you'd like me to bring on and talk a little boxing monthly awards with in the future.